considerable uncertainty over the president's planned appearance at the National Assembly tomorrow, as the Attorney General of the Federation releases a statement saying the National Assembly doesn't have the constitutional right to summon the president. And tonight we take a look at the intrigues of River State politics with the recent gale of defections across political parties and what has been termed a cold war between the party leaders in the state. Hello and welcome to Politics Today, live on Channels Television. I'm Kayode Pikilu from Lagos. Well, our package tonight for you begins with a deep dive into the politics of security at the very top level of government. It's no news that the nation is battling a multiplicity of security challenges across states and regions, so complex that the House of Representatives had to pass a resolution inviting the president to speak on the security situation and maybe unravel the complexities for the National Assembly and, by extension, you as a Nigerian. Well, this plan was going smoothly, or so it seemed, up until yesterday when some APC governors reportedly prevailed on the president not to make good on his commitment to address the hallowed chambers. Their reason? Well, for one, they seem to believe the president will be embarrassed by the opposition during his appearance, thereby making a bad situation even worse. It is even said that this might embolden the state houses of assembly to pass similar resolutions inviting the governors to address them on state affairs. So, while the speculations continued all through last night into today, another perspective has been thrown into the works, well, this time from the government. Or less than 24 hours to that scheduled session, the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, says the lawmakers do not have any constitutional right to summon the president on his operational use of the armed forces. Mr. Malami's comment is contained in a statement he released today, where he explained that the confidentiality of strategies employed by the president as the commander-in-chief of the armed forces is not open for public exposure. Take a look at some of what he said. He says, the fact that President Muhammadu Buhari was instrumental to the reclaiming of over 14 local government previously controlled by Boko Haram in the northeast is an open secret. The strategies for such achievement are not open for public expose. The right of the president to engage the National Assembly and appear before it is inherently discretionary in the president and not at the behest of the National Assembly. He goes on to say, as a commander-in-chief, the president has exclusivity on security and has confidentiality over security. These powers, he says, and rights he does not share. So, by summoning the president on national security operational matters, the House of Reps operated outside constitutional bounds. President's exclusivity of constitutional confidentiality investiture within the context of the Constitution remains sacrosanct. But that statement is, well, silent on whether the president will be attending or not specifically. So that appearance still hangs in the balance. So joining us tonight on the program are two gentlemen who might help us see the merits, maybe the demerits, and the possibility of the president honoring that invitation. And they will be speaking from the political angle, of course. Honorable Farouk Adamu Aliyu is an APC chieftain and former minority leader of the House of Representatives. He joins us from our Abuja studio. And here in Lagos, we have Mr. Segun Shomi, spokesperson, PDP Presidential Campaign Council 2019 elections. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on the program. Well, let me begin with Honorable Aliyu. You are close to the president, quite close to the president, really, and you have known him for years. So based on your interactions with the president, do you know him as someone who will give his commitment and then renege on it?
The person I know in President Buhari, yes, when he keeps commitment, he keeps to it. But there is a caveat to everything. As at today, as at this time, I don't know whether Mr. President is going to appear before the National Assembly or not. But if you ask for my personal opinion, then I could go on to say that, So let me just stop at what he said. Whether he keeps to promises, yes, he does.
So based on that, I mean, that interaction, that knowledge you have of the president, he should honor that invitation, especially because the Speaker of the House of Representatives met with the president and he said he gave his commitment to attend that particular assembly. So based on that, you're saying the president will attend?
Well, the president may attend. I don't know. I don't know. But look, you see, there are so many things to this issue of president appearing or not appearing. Personally, from my personal view, as former minority leader in the House, I don't think the president should appear, honestly, from political angle. Because, look, not at this time of the moment when things are so difficult. The country is going through challenges. And so is the president going to appear there to tell the National Assembly the strategies being taken by the government? Is he going there for interactive session? And look, we are in politics. Not even the speaker can promise the president or assure the president or his party that, look, Mr. President cannot be embarrassed or may not be embarrassed. And look, we're all Nigerians. And as a people, you know, instead of us to rally around and get to the root of this thing and try to collectively solve it. But now here we are debating whether president should appear before National Assembly to speak or not. As I said, I don't know. He might appear, he might not. But left to me, if I were to advise Mr. President, I would tell Mr. President not to go, to probably allow service chiefs to go, other security chiefs to go and explain, because there are certain details that should probably be explained in camera, not in the open. Because look, we're running a country. We're not running a market. So these are some of my personal assessment.
We'll touch on some of these issues, really, the talk about embarrassment. But let's get Mr. Shomi's opening comments on this. So a lot of back and forth. I'm sure you've been following it. But let's look at the merits and demerits of the president really honoring this invitation. Do you think it will change anything?
First of all, I want to say that it's important that we try to put these things in context. What distinguishes a democracy from every other form of government, monarchy, dictatorship, and all that is the legislature. And the legislature has such hollowed responsibility because they represent the totality of the people via some form of collegiate voting patterns. Therefore, you will then ask, what is wrong with the Buhari presidency? You have to beg them to do a press conference where the president is asked questions by senior journalists. You have to beg them to have the president spontaneously speak to the people of the nation at important issues, especially when the nation is maybe angling or eager to hear him. You have to beg them for almost everything that even this country, in spite of our very young democracy, has become used to as a way. And they will give you the usual excuse. Every man has his style. Granted. The question now is, it gets a bit offensive when the Attorney General of the Federation runs to the constitutionality of whether the president can be invited. Ask him, the Attorney General, is there anywhere in the Constitution where it's expressly written that the president should summon governors at will? When he invites the governor, do they not show up? So you feel that we've created a presidency, especially for the Buhari presidency, where the entire infrastructure, including the citizens of the nation, we have been told now we have to pamper the president. For the president, people may die, but the potential embarrassment that can happen to a president under some kind of question and answer or maybe light banter is a problem. You then have to ask, do they not watch parliamentary arrangement in other countries where maybe the leader goes to the Senate, the Rep, or even the British Parliament and see the kinds of sometimes vexatious questions that are thrown at him? The totality of what makes you a statesman is how you handle this question. And I think that, well, let me just say to them, everybody has given up on President Muhammadu Buhari as a president within the context of the Nigerian presidency. At best, we are all holding our breath and just waiting that, oh God, let this cup pass over us so we can just begin to build on it. Why? Because the president does not want to engage the citizens. The issues we're talking about are very dire. Nobody is going to ask him to come and start talking about operational procedures of an armed forces when they're in combat. No. But to say that the president of a country cannot be invited by the legislature, you will have to blame the legislature. For if the legislature had done what it was supposed to do with itself, had developed the independence that was guaranteed it by the Constitution and some oversight responsibility, no president would dare say, lackadaisically, through his attorney general, whoever, that those who can sign an appropriation bill and give you the powers to run and fund and do all the things you do cannot invite you for a friendly parley in parliament. I think it just shows that every other aspect of democracy has been growing except the legislature.
You know, Honorable Ali, he has raised some issues, and also add to this the fact that this is also about the commitment that was given by the president. I mean, the speaker came out of that meeting and said, well, the president has given his commitment. In fact, he mentioned that the Senate president was also there to bear witness. So regarding the commitment and to some of the issues Mr. Shoumi raised, do you still think the president should not honor that invitation?
You know, commitments, yes, are commitments, but then certain things can change, you know. You know, my brother showed me, Mr. Shegun, probably, you know, he's talking about other countries. It's so convenient for us to compare us and other climes where this relates. We're not operating a parliamentary system here that the president is bound to come and defend certain actions before the parliament. And so this is probably going to be a novelty. What we are used to, the practice here is the president to come and lay the budget before the National Assembly. But that's not, you know, that's not the issue. The issue is the security situation of the country. Agreed. You know, we have challenges, whether the government needs to do more, whether the government needs to do better. That's what we are going to discuss. If the president goes to National Assembly, will the problems just go away just like that? No. What are the strategies? And then if my colleagues in the National Assembly feel that in case the president does not go, which means the whole security situation in the country will get worse. No, but there are certain, you know, I was also subcommittee chairman on DSS when I was in the House. There are some privileged discussions that are only done by select few. And the way things are now, as of today, there is so much tension. There are so many things that the president might come and divulge, and probably even Mr. Shoumi will say, look, why did he even go? He shouldn't have gone. That's if you have the interest of this country at heart. And
Honorable Aliyu.
Look, Mr. President Buhari is not an orator. So and that's gift. There are orators, there are people who can go and talk and talk and talk. People are different. People do things differently. That is his style. And in the wisdom of the people of this country, voted for him twice. As I said, whether there are challenges, yes, there are challenges. Whether the government should do better and more, yes, the government should do better and more. I mean, let's discuss along that line. But let us not put the president going to National Assembly or not going as a matter of preference. I think my colleagues should understand and look, move forward. Probably invite the services, as I said.
Honorable
so
Aliyu,
they will come and explain to them, also in camera.
Even more than the service chiefs, the president is a veteran military person for years. So are you saying that there's a possibility that the president might slip and divulge very sensitive information about security situation in the country?
Well, because you see, you wouldn't know what questions might come. You know, you cannot determine this. And he could not just go there and also not say anything or not try to give them answers. It will probably look like he's just there to intimidate them. So, as I said, left to me, if Mr. President will take my advice, I will tell him not to go.
Right.
Simple. That's just it. And look, the Speaker is from our party, the Senate President is from our party, and our party has made a stand that, look, Mr. President should not go. So he shouldn't go. Simple. Let us politicians go and talk over it and see what is the best way to come about the solution of security in this country.
Mr. Shoumi, So time and again, there have been talks about plans by the PDP lawmakers to embarrass or ambush the president. Is there anything of sort in the works?
Look, I don't imagine any responsible lawmaker, be it PDP or APC, at this material time, who will be interested in the embarrassment of a man who has probably, with due respect, embarrassed himself enough as it is. You're dealing with a situation where there is a systemic pattern of lack of desire to communicate with the people. Have you removed the possibility that that presidential conversation could infuse hope? Do you know the power of just the president infusing hope and just telling the people, I'm on it, some of these things are going on, some I can tell you, some I cannot tell you, but be rest assured, this is happening. Do you know the implication for the honorable members when their constituents are probably thinking that they're sitting down in the comfort of the hallowed chamber and doing absolutely nothing? Look, if the president doesn't go, the heavens would not fall. But we are saying that there's a pattern here. We practically had to beg him to speak to the Nigerian youths when they took out on the whole street and shut down everything. It doesn't have to be an orator. We've seen this man over the years. So when he delivers a speech, frankly, he delivers it well. And no one should come and pussyfoot us by giving us the impression that he doesn't even know how to talk. He can be guided. The people who will ask questions can be screened. The speaker and the senator, whoever is in charge, can guarantee that anybody who goes in front of national television, in front of the entire world, only to embarrass himself, claiming he's embarrassing the president, does himself a lot of harm.
Mr. Shomi.
We are protecting the presidency too much. We're creating the impression that the Buhari presidency is a clone or a cocoon or a cabal or what do you call like a coven of very dark forces who are not willing to be seen in the light.
Let me bring this in. Do you recall in 2012 when then President Goodluck Jonathan was invited, summoned, some people use the term summoned, by the House of Representatives? Do you remember if he attended or honored that invite?
That's in 2012?
12, yes.
That was a long time ago. I don't have any recollection.
Okay. So here's what happened. The House of Representatives invited then President Goodluck Jonathan to speak on security situation. You recall there were killings, bombings in Kaduna, Yobe, Boko Haram. And, you know, the spokesperson of the president at that time said, well, they can't just rely on newspapers. They need to get an official letter. And that eventually ended in the president
Did they write the official letter?
Not showing up. Okay. So in this case now, people have drawn, you know, inferences saying that if it happened then, what rights?
Do you know the problem I have with this country? We make it seem as if bad behavior by one administration is now the standard. We are not going to be stuck in the character deficiency of previous administration. Please, we must constantly up the ante for ourselves, and we must constantly improve on our own procedures. Like I said, the world is not going to come to an end if it doesn't attain. But there is a pattern to, it's as if you have to beg them just to engage the citizens. And if you ask, when was the last time the president had a media party with top executive, them asking him a question and him answering? When was the last time? You can't even recollect that. Why? They'll tell you he doesn't know how to answer questions. And this is a president that those that are close to him tell you he's very funny, he's very witty, he can handle his own and all that. Why are they shielding him as if he's a baby?
Gentlemen, we need to go on a quick break now. But when we return, I mean, there are issues to also talk about regarding the call by your party, at least a member of your party, for the impeachment of the president regarding the security situation. And of course, the governors of the APC prevailing on the president. Some wonder why. Isn't that anti-people? We'll touch on these issues when we return in a moment. Please stay with us. You're welcome back. Honorable Farouk Aliyu and Mr. Shegun Showumi still with us on the program discussing security, especially the planned appearance by President Muhammadu Buhari before the National Assembly tomorrow. Well, it's still quite uncertain, especially because of that statement from the Attorney General. So, gentlemen, Honorable Aliyu, so the Attorney General put out that statement saying that the House of Representatives are operating outside their constitutional bounds. You were a member. Do you agree with that?
Well, you see, I'm not sure of that because the section of the Constitution that speaks about members of the National Assembly inviting anybody I cannot remember whether including Mr. President, this kind of invitation. But then there is penalty for invitation when members of National Assembly invite someone and the person does not appear. That's if it's formal. That person could be committed to prison. Mr. President, it's covered by Section 308 of the Constitution. That's in case, even if they don't agree with what the Attorney General is saying. So, but I don't want us to even go that way. Let us go in a manner of Nigerians. What does our country need? What do we do to make this country better? Is it by Mr. President appearing before National Assembly? Is that why they are calling for impeachment? Well, I dare Mr. Show-Me and his party to attempt to impeach Mr. President if they can. They cannot. Absolutely. So, and we've been through this before. And I honestly sympathize with Mr. Show-Me because I was in opposition. I knew the kind of frustration he's going through now, and that's it. So they will have to, sit and watch because Nigerians have vested in us, our party, our president, the mandate to rule the country, to lead the country, and we're doing it. Whether we have challenges, yes, we do. Whether there are things that we could have done better, yes, there are. Whether we need cooperation of everybody, yes, we do. Just like if PDP is in government today, we will cooperate with the government as well because we are talking about the security of Nigerians, not security of APC members. But if politicians, like my brother, see it as a problem of just APC, well, when the NSAS problem started, all of us were engulfed in it. When armed robbers attack, all of us are in it. When Boko Haram attack, all of us are in it. So what do we do as a nation to make sure things are done better? That's what we should be talking about.
Well, Honorable Aliyu, if we could just talk on this briefly. So how do you transmit that trust? I mean, how do you tell people this is what we're doing if such opportunities as the one presented by the National Assembly is missed?
Well, the opportunities does not just lie with President going to National Assembly. There are interactions. The same leadership of the National Assembly can meet privately with the President, and if they so wish to divulge information, just like what my brother is saying, they are representing the whole country. Yes, they are. The Senate President, the Senate, the Speaker of the House of Reps are leaders of the Assembly. So if by interacting with Mr. President privately and in their wisdom, they feel like divulging the information that would have been discussed between them and Mr. President to their colleagues, so be it. But these are the kind of interactions we do. These are the kind of confidence building that we are doing between us and Nigerians.
All right. Now,
through
Mr.
the
Show-Me,
representatives, of course.
So as it stands, Mr. Show-Me, it's still uncertain. I thought it was going to be clearer at this stage of the program, but it's still uncertain whether the president will be attending. So what are the options available to the PDP at the National Assembly at various levels regarding security? You've said this is a collective work, so what are the options available?
I first of all want to say that it's painful to listen to a high-ranking, good-standing friend of mine in the ruling party think that opposition work is frustrating. How? If the duty and the responsibility is to solve the problem before all of us as Nigerians, the responsibility of opposition is to articulate some suggestion and prop them in directions that we're saying. And I'm saying emphatically that you lose the opportunity to communicate hope to the citizens when the number one man on whose table the bulk falls always dodges every opportunity to speak to them. Of course, it cannot be compelled. If the legislature were interested in compelling him, I am sure they can be creative enough to bring up a couple of impeachable offenses, serve him, and the impeachment may even fail. The fact is that it will be on record that some decent Nigerians insisted that we will not sit and accept a situation where we're going to be served by an absentee landlord. That's on that. What should we do? Look, we should understand that as a nation, our policing models no longer work. If our policing model was working, we will not be having a fire brigade approach all over the place. We need to do a multimodal policing. We said that clearly during campaign, but it's not time for that now. We should also recognize as a people that it bothers me sometimes. How come security, intelligence in this country seem to have taken the very, very distant, not even the back seat, the absent seat? They are not able to tell us that they foiled anything. It's always the army having to go help out, the police always jumping around. We need to rejig the security architecture of the country. Again, you cannot have your service chief be on duty and people are dying, and you would insist that in spite of their tenure and the terms and how long they should have been there, you're going to keep extending it. And when we then say, hey, what's going on? You're going to say, oh, the security reason, the president can't talk to you. Look, at the end of the day, some of us agonize when we hear the rushes of this thing. Do you know for how many nights I could literally not sleep, just imagining that people put farmers, tie them on the ground and slaughter them in this country? And when we say, oh, wow, these are our citizens, we are not supposed to accept that killing of our innocent citizens, wherever they may be killed, is now acceptable in the country.
You know, it's
and if, for whatever reason, legislators that are made up of their party, not ours, the Senate president is from APC, the speaker is from APC, if they go to the president and they come and they get an understanding from him that he will come and speak to Nigerians via a hollowed chamber, and then you're being legalist about it.
You know, clearly there's a lot of angles to touch on this, gentlemen, but I understand that we're pressed for time. But I'd like to appreciate you, Mr. Segun Showumi, who is spokesperson PDP Presidential Campaign Council 2019 elections, and as well as Honorable Farouk Adamu Aliyu, an APC chieftain and former minority leader of the House of Representatives. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having us.
Well, as we keep our eyes on the security situation and that proposed appearance by the president at the National Assembly tomorrow, we'll take a quick break now, and when we return, we'll touch on another issue. It's still politics, but this time, some high-stake politics. Please stay with us.
As the trial of the former chairman of the defunct pension reform tax team, Mr. Abdulrasheed Maina, continues in Abuja, at the resumed trial, the witness revealed how Mr. Maina received diverted funds in dollars even while he was hiding in Dubai. The witness explains that Mr. Maina opened and operated 2 bank accounts with a fake driver's license. She adds that the defendant's company, Common Inputs Investment and Properties Limited, never engaged in any business, neither did the company file tax returns. On the cross-examination, the witness restates her earlier testimony about the net worth of Mr. Maina and his company, which ran into billions of naira. After the cross-examination, the prosecution counsel closed his case, and the lawyer representing Mr. Maina announced his intention to file a no-case submission. Justice Okon Abang subsequently adjourned the matter to the 10th of December 2020 to enable Mr. Maina's counsel address the court on his no-case submission. The Borno State Governor has presented a budget estimate of 208.7 billion naira. The budget, tagged the People's Budget of Recovery and Consolidation, would focus on reconstruction of infrastructure and resettlement of internally displaced persons. Capital expenditure will go up 135,165,714,000, while recurrent expenditure is estimated at 72,703,034,000 naira. 833 million represents contingency funds. The 2021 budget, according to Zulum, is based on federal government's fiscal forecast for the 2022 to 2023 medium-term expenditure framework. The budget proposal will serve as a foundation for the implementation of the state's 25 years development plan. Zulum said this year's budget is in line with economic realities.
Welcome back. Well, the politics of River State is not for the faint-hearted. In fact, the violent 2019 elections in the state is still fresh on the minds of many, with the killings and violence that marred the polls. Well, the politicking ahead of the election year has begun yet again, and the stakes are as high as they can be. The political leaders of the APC and the PDP have opened their doors to new entrants, or those you might call defectors. And just a few days ago, 2 immediate past commissioners of Governor Wike defected to the APC. And this has been generating a lot of reactions, call it controversy. And the concern is, are we building up to yet another violent election in 2023? Well, let's speak with two gentlemen who join us tonight on the program to shed more light on this. Honorable Samuel Wanasike is the chairman, Ikwere Local Government Area and former spokesman, Rivers State PDP. He joins us via Zoom this evening. And from our Abuja studio, Honorable Ibn Abo West, former commissioner and lawmaker in Rivers State, is a member of the APC. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us on Politics Today. Well, Honorable West, let me begin with you. Great to have you. Again, the question of ideology comes up, how easy it is for political actors to move from one party to another, just almost at the snap of a finger. You have done this. Just how did this happen, really? Is it that there's no ideology, or in fact, this is based on ideology itself?
Well, thank you very much. It's based on ideology. I have to take that decision to move from the PDP to the APC based on ideology too, and based on what is on ground in Rivers State. The PDP will know when Governor Peter Odili and Rotimi Amechi was leaders of the party. It's not the same thing today. What we have today is a one-man show, an autocratic leadership in the state. Nobody talks, nobody have to say anything, and the executive has been caged, the legislature has been caged. You know, nobody can talk, even the judiciary. This is not what we have when Rotimi Amechi and Governor Peter Odili were governors of the state. And so that is why I have to take that bold decision to move out, so that even the traditional institution, you know, cannot even say anything because of the style of one-man leadership in the state. Because when you speak, even the local government chairman, my brother that is there, the Ikwere local government chairman, they don't have a say. You know, one man called the shot. And so this kind of thing cannot happen. And that is why I have to take that bold step to leave, so that some of us can speak up and attack the leadership style of the governor for him to at least change.
Okay, we'll touch on some of his issues, but let's go to Honorable Wanasike. Well, he's saying that from the executive to the legislature to the judiciary and even the traditional rulers, they're being stifled in Rivers State. How do you respond to that allegation?
That's a complete lie. That is a fallacy from the pit of hell. And I'm shocked that our brother Michael West would not state to Nigerians the obvious, that because he was not given the opportunity to come back to the cabinet, and he believes that him as a member of the party from Asaritora local government, he should be the only one that will remain in government after we have won the 2019 election. But the question is that in Asaritora we have a lot of members of the party who have also worked hard for the party to emerge victorious in that election. And so they too have opportunity to contribute to the development of Rivers State. And again, it's also laughable that Michael West will say that Governor Zeboye Sunwike is autocratic. But the question is simple. Governor Zeboye Sunwike was not autocratic when he was a member of the cabinet. And because he had no vision, he had nothing to offer, and Governor Zeboye Sunwike has no time to make excuses. Nigerians have seen clearly that even Governor Sunwike, as a second-term governor, is working even more than he worked while he was a governor for the first time. So it shows clearly that Michael West is lying. He knows that he left the party because he believes that he does not have an opportunity to feed himself. Let's just call it that. And again, him talking about local government chairman not having a voice, I challenge him to a public debate. I speaking to you and my colleagues led by the mayor of Port Harcourt City, who've been contributed to the development of Rivers State in our 23 local governments, and been doing our best to make sure that the dividends of democracy gets to the grassroots. And the governor has guided us, has mentored us to know that politics is a very serious business. Gone are those days when local government chairmen are globetrotting and allowing their council being overgrown by weeds. But we're talking about giving results and giving dividends of democracy to the people, not a man trying to play clean man thing for us. We want those who are ready to fold their sleeves, get to work, and give us dividends of democracy. And I can say clearly that Michael West does not fit in for that.
Honorable Wanosike, you mentioned that he was a part of the executive cabinet, so clearly the governor saw him fit to, take that position. So we've had two former members of the cabinet defecting to the APC in recent times, and there are even talks that there might be more defections in the coming days. So these defections really, is it a threat to the PDP in the state? Is the governor losing sleep over this?
Not at all. We are not bothered. First of all, Governor Sowike is a human being. So if in the first term, in 2015, after we won the election, and he saw someone like Michael West as a man that can contribute, having been in assembly for representing Rivers people, and his other brother who also left with him, John Bazzi, also having been in assembly representing Rivers people from his own state, he felt that they had experience they could add at the executive level. And they were not the only ones who were in assembly then that had the opportunity of being in that cabinet. And when he was given that opportunity for 4 years, he wasn't dropped. The 4 years, he stayed his 4 years, and he was not giving results that was expected, that were given, and contributions that Rivers people wanted. And like I said before in my earlier statement, that Governor Sowike is not ready to make excuses with the resources of Rivers people. He wants results. And he has said it clearly, if you are ready to work with us and give us results, because Rivers State is a construction site. We're not ready for excuses. We want results. Just also Nigerians want results at the federal level. So for us, we just see that our brother, my uncle, Governor the former governor of Rivers State, Rotimi Ameju, is the Minister of Transportation. He doesn't have a job for himself. He's not bothered about the train lines that have been broken down. He's not bothered about difficulty Nigerians are going. He's just bothered about chartering a flight and coming to Rivers State and gathering in one small place, ignoring the fact that a brand new flyover crossing the same place. He went to do this defection to receive just two men, John Bazia and Michael West. And I can tell you, from their ward where they come from, their ward chairman and all their ward executives are intact. Leaders of the wards are intact. In fact, they're even celebrating their exit because they see them as barriers blocking the sorts of people.
Right. I think it's only fair to get Honorable West to respond to some of the issues you have raised. First, Honorable West, now he has raised questions about your scorecard as a commissioner in Rivers State and some other issues. So if you could just begin by speaking to that, your performance as a commissioner. He says it's because you didn't get another chance that you left the party. So you could begin by responding to that and other issues he raised.
In the first place, thank you very much. In the first place, I don't even want to be a commissioner. But when I started getting delegations and all that, I heard my name on radio, to go for screening. I don't even want it. I was a two-term member of the Rivers State House of Assembly and also a governorship candidate aspirant in 2014-2015. My scorecard in the Assembly, Rivers State House of Assembly, is there for everybody to see. In fact, when I was a commissioner for transport, I made a lot of impacts. The only thing is, even when I took over office, the podium block was not working. My office was on the 9th floor. The lift was not working. The generators were not working. I fixed them with my money. I went to cabinet and told the governor that I fixed them. Because I saw people complaining. People cannot climb up the stairs. I saw a broken system. There is no maintenance culture and all that.
Honorable
and when
West.
I hear people complain and all that, I decided to do that. In fact,
Honorable
at the
West.
end of the day,
Honorable West.
when I did that, 9 permanent secretaries. 9.
Right. Honorable West.
9 permanent secretaries.
Pardon me.
Sorry, sir.
Please hold
Sorry,
your
sir.
thoughts for a
9
moment.
permanent secretaries.
I know we're due for a break now. It's our statutory break.
I have it here.
Yeah,
Signed.
Honorable West, you know what we'll do? Please hold on to that letter, okay? We're due for a break. It's statutory at this time. So when we come back, we'll let you continue on that trail of thought. So please don't lose it and stay with us, everyone. Well, the ever-intriguing politics of Rivers State is still our point of discussion tonight. And we still have joining us Honorable Samuel Wanosike, as well as Honorable Ibinabo West, both of APC and the PDP. Gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Honorable West, you were talking about a letter just before we went on that break, and I asked you to pause. So if you could just play now and just conclude on your thoughts now.
There is no maintenance culture. The secretariat is absolute rubbish. When I assumed office, the podium block, housing about 10th floor, was without light for about two years. And I saw people complaining. And I have to take the bull by the horn, fix it myself, and send 9 permanent secretaries. I have the letter here, appreciation. If I have the time, I'll read it. I made that input and fixed it. And they were so happy, including the civil servants there. And they signed letter of appreciation, praying God for me.
Right.
For restoring power to the podium block. I added color to Wike's administration. Wike, I can tell you, my brother, the chairman of Ikwerre local government, is just trying to please his paymaster. He knows very well that the council chairman doesn't have a say. The commissioners are just there with due respect to them. They're just like houseboys, they don't have a say. Wike called a shot. The assembly members, they don't have a shot. They don't have any say. You know, since Wike got into power, I don't think that he's been able to send the assembly members for any training. But when Rotimi Amechi was here as governor, we traveled for legislative strengthening by Mississippi Consortium for International Development. We went to Jackson State, Mississippi for training and capacity building. But the present legislature, they have not even moved from Port Harcourt to Ibom Resort.
Honorable West.
They are all complaining, they are all crying.
Right, Honorable West.
Same thing.
Yeah.
So my brother, I want to seek a just there, trying to, please his paymaster.
Right, Honorable West, you say you envisage...
Putting 6 flyovers on one particular road is not an indices for development. What of other local government areas?
You say you envisage... We'll touch on that also.
Is to put a ring road.
We'll touch on that and get him to respond to those issues you raised.
In my local government, he awarded the job, and he awarded the job for the past 3 years. Is there rodents and the mosquitoes have taken over? So what are we talking about? And nobody called a shot. Even the traditional institution, when they raise their voices, he will say that he will take their staff of office from them, or he will call them names that they are wearing Usman Danfodio hats. He doesn't have respect for anybody. And so everybody is scared of him. Nobody have a say. He knows very well. But when Amechi was there, it wasn't like that. There was development everywhere in the 23 local government. Quality education, agriculture, security, architecture, health sector, and all that. Today, Wike is there, and he has allowed all those things that Amechi, legacy project Amechi said, to rot away.
Clearly,
the ROSSDA, the River State Sustainable Agency,
Honorable West, we have to get your colleague's response. Right. We have to get his response to the issues you've raised, because clearly this is turning to a proxy war between the current governor and the former governor in the state. So, Honorable Wanosike, if you could respond to some of the things he has said, but specifically, he said that majority of those in government in River State are afraid of the governor. Are you afraid of the governor?
That is absolute nonsense, my brother. We asked a simple question. He should tell us his contribution when he was in cabinet. He said the man is autocratic. He said the man does not allow contribution, but he stayed out for 4 years. He did not resign. He did not walk out of the party. He didn't grant a press conference to say, oh, I am my Honorable Michael West and I have integrity. I cannot work under this administration. He finished that tenure. He contributed nothing during the election. He allowed himself to be trashed properly during an election by a woman, a lady called Honorable Joba West, warned him in his word. West locked the man that is talking in his word. But I don't want to talk about that. Let's talk about the issue of infrastructure and him telling us, reminding Rivers people of the pains we went through under Rotimi Amechi's administration. How can you imagine a situation where a man will come to a school premises where we have 1,200 pupils? You put down the school structure built by our founding fathers. You build a fancy building that will only accommodate 200 students. The question is simple. Where have you left the 1,000 students to go to? Today, Governor Zeboye Wike, through the support of UBEC, has handled those matters. These students who have been abandoned are not back to their schools. So we don't want to talk about that. He's talking about Wike building 7 flyovers or 6 flyovers. The question is, if you want to grow an economy, you must build the roads. It is simple. In New York today, how many flyovers do we have? Can we count them? In Chicago today, how many flyovers do we have? Can we count them? What we are saying clearly is that Michael West should stop hiding in the shadows of any political war. There's no political war going on in Rivers State as we speak. In fact, there's no political party called APC in Rivers State. The question is, who is the political leader of APC? Who is the person? Which APC did Michael West join? Is it the APC led by Guaguma, or the APC led by Magnus Abe, or the one led by Rotimi Amechi? No, the issue is simple. Or is it trying to remind Rivers people about the Caribbean White Hospital that today we don't find any hospital and funds embezzled by Clinotech? What is it telling? Is it telling us about a man who said he was saving 1 billion every day, every month for Rivers people? Rivers people are too rich. And after, at the end of his tenure, he embezzled the money and had no explanation to the money? Or is he reminding Rivers about the pain that when he was saving the 1 billion, our roads were impassable? The same road that this morning Sowike has brought into Las Vegas and has fixed that Rivers State is now like London? Or is he trying to remind us that Rotimi Amechi sold our gas plant built by our founding fathers? What is he trying to remind us? For us as Rivers people, we want to put those pains in the past, because God has given us a leader who is now giving us a hope that, look, Rivers State is actually going to be great again. That Rivers State is going to be the pride of the state, the pride of this nation.
Gentlemen, we're winding down.
Like you talk about.
We're winding down on this. Gentlemen, Honorable Wanasike, if you can hear me. Honorable Wanasike, just a moment. We're winding down on this conversation, and I'd just like to take up an issue with both of you before we round off, because largely politics is about the people. Governance is about the people. So as much as we do the politics, the paramount thing is how people feel that impacts. And I believe that should be the focus of both parties in the state. But Honorable West, you have spoken about a possible intimidation, harassment by the Rivers State government because of your defection. On what grounds do you make that allegation?
Well, definitely, I know that since I've come out, I've left the PDP, and all the intimidations and all that, will come. I know that because I've come out to, to speak up the truth, to speak up, on behalf of the downtrodden, those people that doesn't have voice. They're in government, but they cannot speak. They are complaining. Those in commissioners are complaining, assembly members are complaining, local government chairmen are complaining. So I'm out of the cage now to speak on their behalf. And I know they will come for me, but God in heaven is behind us. That is the truth of the matter. He knows, that gentleman there, my brother, this chairman of Ikuri local government, knows very well that he doesn't have a voice. He's just trying to play to the gallery, to play this paymaster. He's talking about flyover and all that. He's putting 6 flyovers on one particular road and indices for development. What of other areas? He's talking of my scorecard. When I was there, I turned in about more than 22 memos, memos, but that wasn't approved, even in the River Rhine, So now that I've come out open, I know that at the end of the day, I will receive all this attack and all that. Right. But I don't give a damn, because I have come out to, to speak up the truth. Yes, people are saying I heard on radio that Wike gave me a job. Yes, he gave me a contract before I became before a commissioner, about 800 and something million naira worth of contract, a dredging. I've done it. He's owing me 220 million. For the past 2 years, he has approved it, and it is in finance, but I have abandoned it. To tell you, I have an integrity. Right. And I've come out from that cage. That key that he has locked and put the key in its pocket. I have brought that key out, and I'm out of the cage to speak on behalf of Rivers people. And so let him look at himself. His character has been carried by a benevolent spirit. You should not forget to be humble. Let him be humble and be open to Rivers people. He should make himself accessible. That is the truth. He's not accessible. That is the truth of the matter.
Let's get Honorable Wanasike to respond to the allegation of intimidation and harassment. He says that he believes that the state government will be coming for him. How true is that?
There is nothing like that. In fact, you see, it's simple. He has just contradicted himself. The same man is speaking from 2 sides of his mouth. He said he's been intimidated, he lost his voice, and he has agreed that the contract was given to him for dredging. So where was that contract that was given to him? Where was that dredging done? Now, Governor Wike is the only governor, and I challenge anybody in Rivers State, including channels, let's go on a tour. In the 23 AGAs of Rivers State, Governor Wike has completed projects, not just projects I want to do. I'm talking about projects that have been commissioned in the 23 AGAs. Governor Wike is the only governor that Rivers people will tell you that have touched the life of Rivers people in all aspects. Is it the healthcare? Is it agriculture? Is it sports? Is it infrastructure? Which area will you talk that Governor Sowike has not touched? For the 23 local government chairman, we see Governor Sowike as God given because he is building us
Honorable Wanasike, so
leaders.
you're given your word.
To know that government is.
I understand. The question was about intimidation and harassment specifically. So you're giving your word that there is no such thing in the works.
You, my brother. There is no such thing. There is no such thing. A man that is intimidated will he be giving contracts? He has accepted that he was giving contract that 800 million has been paid to him.
But Honorable Samuel Wanasike,
that has been intimidated the contract to do.
We're out of time, gentlemen. But like we started by saying, we're looking forward to elections and politicking in River States that are free of violence and rancor. But I'd like to thank you so much, Honorable Samuel Wanasike, Chairman, Ikwere Local Government Area of River State and former spokesperson of Rivers PDP. He joined us via Zoom tonight on the program, as well as Honorable Ibinabo West, former commissioner and lawmaker, River State, also member of the APC. Gentlemen, we wish you the very best. And that's our show for tonight, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Kayode Kikilu. Have a great night.